All right, guys. I got another paranormal experience story that I want to share with you guys for the channel. And the first thing I'm going to talk about happened to me at my old job before I started work at where I am now. So, I was working at an old cotton mill right up the street from my house. And I worked night shift, 8 at night till 8 in the morning. And so I was working and I drove this little thing around called a pull cat that hauls yarn cans behind it down these really long aisles, and you would set them out for the machine operators to use. So there was four down on the very far end, way down, that we never ran those frames. We never ran that section. So I was just driving down there one night just because I had nothing to do and I was just bored. This was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I see this man standing at the end of the aisle, staring at me, and he had a hat on, a flannel shirt, and Carhartt pants. And I was like, I don't recognize this person. And so I drive towards him, and he's watching me standing there like he's going to speak to me when I get to him, right? He turns, when I get about halfway down, he turns and walks to the left, this way. Now, these pull cats will move. They move pretty good. They're about 25, 30 miles per hour. So when I get down to the edge where he was standing, I look around, he was gone. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I know that he didn't have time to completely disappear, even if I went to the end of the aisle, turned left, and went up, all the way up through all the other aisles that I had to navigate. I would have seen him, but he was gone. And so I started asking other employees about the mill. And it's been there since the 1950s, and there have been some people die at that place, either at the mill or people that had worked there had passed away. And it was like, that was their life. They spent most of their life in there, 30, 40 years, some of them. So that was kind of creepy, but, you know, not too crazy. But still, I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And then I have one that happened to a guy that worked with me. He was working on a machine. He was like a maintenance guy. And these machines, you have to shut them down completely before you work on them. And he said, I know it was turned off. I double checked it, triple checked it, had to make sure. Because they can kill you if it's not. Well, he's working on it, and somehow it got turned to three-phase power, which is a lot of voltage. And when he grabbed a hold of something in there, it grabbed him and was shocking him. He could feel it shocking his arm. And he thought, if it gets to my shoulder bone up here, my collarbone, and hit something, it's going to kill me. He said he felt something grab him from behind and pull him away from that machine. Like somebody was helping him. And he gets pulled back from it, and he's looking up, and he's like, thank, and he stopped himself. There was nobody there. And he told me, he was like, I don't know how to explain that, but I felt hands on me pull me away from that machine. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. And then there's one other one. So I got laid off from that mill. And I was out of work for a good while. Good while. And then I get hired back through a cleaning service that would sweep the floors, clean the bathrooms, that kind of thing. We had an upstairs and a downstairs. I swept what was called the weave room upstairs. Big old place. And a lady that worked with me worked downstairs doing the same thing, sweeping up the floor, sweeping all the cotton up. And we had vacuums that would suck the cotton up to get rid of it. So anyway, I was in the break room one day, And she comes in there, and she's white as a piece of cotton. I mean, she's white as a ghost. And I was looking at her, and she comes over and sits down in front of me at the table. And she said, "I'm telling our boss I want to work up with you upstairs. I refuse to go back down there." And I was like, "Well, why don't you want to go back down there?" And she said, "I was sweeping, and I stopped for a minute just to kind of, rest my legs because you walked a lot, 12 hours. I was stopped to rest my legs, and somebody touched me. They came up behind me and squeezed my side like they're trying to, playfully squeeze your side, like, hey, get your attention." And she said there was nobody down there but her. All the other downstairs employees had went up to their break, and she was about to come to hers, but she had a little bit left to do, and she felt somebody touch her. She said she turned around, looked everywhere. There was nobody there. Pretty cool. I mean, this was probably 4 years ago that happened, and then the one I mentioned just a minute ago about the man, that was back in 2011. So those are some other paranormal experiences, one that I had and a couple that my coworkers have had. So now there's something else I want to discuss in the vein of this paranormal talk here. So in my area, maybe 20 minutes from where I live, there's an old bridge. It's called Duncan Bridge. And you could used to be able to cross it, but they have since built a new bridge over the top of that one to keep people off that bridge. Here's the reason. So this is a local, I guess you call it a local legend. One of those, like a movie or a game. Don't worry, it's just a local tale, you know. So apparently one night, one rainy, foggy night, a lady, something had happened to her in her life that she felt she needed to end her life. She went to Duncan Bridge, climbed up on it, and jumped off to her death. And they say, a lot of people have told me that back in the day, the 80s, 90s, you could drive across that bridge on a rainy, foggy night and see that lady standing there. And she'll look at you and run towards your car, and before she hits your car, she'll disappear. And I've heard 5 or 6 people say they saw her. She has black hair, wearing a white dress, and she's crying when she's running at you and screaming. And some people still say when you go across the new one on a night like that, you can still hear her scream. Pretty crazy stuff, man. And then there's one other one. It's not really a local tale or a local legend, but this is something my dad told me. There's an old town. It's still there. It's about 50 miles from here. And that's what it takes to get from my house to there. So my uncle that had passed away in 98, he said, hey, bro, my dad, his brother, I want to take you somewhere. And I want to show you something. On a rainy, foggy night, they drive down this old, road. And he said, you see that house right there? There's a house that's glowing, green looking, like a glowing mist, with a black 55 Chevrolet sitting in the yard. And my uncle says, you see that house? Take a stick, find a good sized stick, and jam it in the ground at the driveway. And so my dad's like, okay. And he drove it in the ground. And my uncle said, okay, when we come back tomorrow, I'll bring you back here. This house will not be here. And my dad's like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, you're just talking crap or whatever. And he said, no, I'll take you back up here and it won't be there. So the next day, that morning, they get up, and my uncle says, let's go. I'll take you back up there and I'll show you. So they go back up this old road again, get to where the house was. Dad gets out of the car. My uncle gets out of the car. You can see the stick sticking up where my dad drove it in the ground, but in front of it is nothing but woods. That house was gone. And they say you can only see it on a foggy, rainy night. That's just something I wanted to share with you guys. Maybe you paranormal fans out there might think, wow, that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I wish I could go up there and see that. I might talk to my dad, see if we can go. That would be really, really cool. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Kind of a short talk about the paranormal. And if you like this kind of thing, I'm glad you're enjoying it if you watch it. And all you guys that have watched the channel, if you really like it, I'm glad you're enjoying it with the guitar stuff, the paranormal talk. Not much gaming yet, but I do have a talk coming up about the new Resident Evil. Very cool game. So I'll leave it here, and I hope you guys enjoy. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching to each and every one of you. I really appreciate it.